Vegemite, we all adore our Vegemite. It puts a rose in every tree.
The Vegemite brand has a history spanning over 90 years. Its story began in 1922 when the Fred Walker Company, which would later become Kraft Food Company, hired a young chemist to develop a spread from one of the richest known natural sources in the vitamin B group, brewer's yeast. After months of laboratory tests, Dr. Cyril P. Callister, Australia's leading food technologist of the 1920s and 30s, developed a tasty spreadable paste. It was labelled pure vegetable extract. The Fred Walker Company initiated an ingenious plan to have the Australian public officially name their spread. A national competition was launched, offering an attractive £50 prize pool for finalists. Unfortunately, the name of the winning contestant was not recorded, but it was Frank Walker's daughter who chose the winning name, Vegemite. In 1923, Vegemite spread graced the shelves of grocers Australian-wide. Delicious on sandwiches and toast, and improving the flavours of soups, stews and gravies was how the spread was first described and marketed. However, the reality was that Marmite, a thick, dark English spread, already dominated the Australian market, and Australians were reluctant to even try Fred Walker's locally made product. Poor sales of Vegemite spread resulted in its name being changed in 1928 to Parwill. Walker was determined to emulate the success of Marmite, and the logic behind the rebranding strategy was simple. If Marmite, then Parwill. Walker's innovative method of marketing was, however, unsuccessful. Parwill failed to gain momentum across the country. It would take Fred Walker 14 years of perseverance and a change back to the original Vegemite brand for Australians to embrace what would later become an Australian icon. In 1937, a limerick competition with substantial prizes was just the promotion to not only encourage entries, but also sales of Vegemite spread nationwide. By 1942, exactly 20 years after it was first developed, the Vegemite brand had become a staple food in every Australian home and in every Australian pantry. In 1954, a trio of bright, energetic youngsters burst into song and on radio to a toe-tapping jingle named Happy Little Vegemites. 2 years later, Kraft Foods developed the infectious song into a television campaign, which continued intermittently through the late 1960s.
Happy little Vegemites, as bright can be. We all enjoy our Vegemite for breakfast, lunch and tea.
Our mummies say we're growing stronger every single week because we love our Vegemite. We all adore our Vegemite. It puts a rose in every tree.
Everyone has their way of eating Vegemite, even straight from the jar. But there's one thing we all agree on: we love our Vegemite.
There aren't many products or brands that have been embraced in the same style with the same amount of love as the Vegemite brand has been. And there are certainly not many that continue to. The world may be forever evolving, but one thing that remains the same is Vegemite. It's loved by children, teenagers and adults. It's still consumed by our troops overseas. It's carried in the suitcases and backpacks of Australian travellers as a small reminder and a small taste of home.